In this week's channel message from the angels, they are telling us what exactly has been holding humanity in the energy of separation, right? Has keeping us apart from each other in a state of struggle and oppression. So welcome back, you guys, to my channel. I am so glad you are here. And to those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. And by that, I mean I go into a deep meditative state. And from that deep state, I raise my awareness as high as I can go. I go a little higher, I connect, and then messages and healing come through. And I share it here with you guys on YouTube. And this message, I feel like we have gone like starting 2 weeks ago, we went down the rabbit hole on this whole question about like, what is this shift in consciousness going to be about? But specifically talking about how humanity has been affected. And they're saying it's not by divine will. We are not meant to struggle. We're not meant to suffer. And the angels have been saying that for a long time. But now I understand what they mean. That it sounds like there was something that interfered with our natural development. And they've been talking about this the last two messages. And this message goes into more depth about that topic. So it's absolutely mind-blowing. And I am recording this early because you guys know I'm going on vacation. I'm going to Bali. So I will probably do a live, and I actually am going to go live there next, what is it, Saturday? I'll get you the date here. Hold on. Saturday, the 27th at 6 p.m. Pacific, I will go live from Bali to talk about my Soul Convergence program, which is going to be starting again in February 10th. And I just did a live about that last Saturday, which was awesome, talking about, I had shared a bunch of stories from the people who've been for the program where they're talking about their personal experiences of healing and what it was like for them. And it's amazing to hear these stories, to relate it to your own journey. So that is on my channel under the lives. You can check that out. I will be going live, like I said, again, here on YouTube on the 27th. And I'll be sharing what I learned specifically about the healing process. So, and this is information that you can apply to your own healing journey going forward. So super, super interesting experience just to see the divine wisdom playing out in such a concentrated, condensed process of healing. Soul convergence takes place over 11 weeks, and people make massive transformation and shifts in that process. As a matter of fact, we do 4 weeks on the masculine, on mass balancing our masculine energy, which is had nothing to do with man being male. It has everything to do with just, it's like yin and yang energy inside of us. 4 weeks on the masculine, 2 weeks to integrate, 5 weeks on the feminine. And we found that even just after the first 4 weeks of the masculine, over half of the people in the group had already balanced their masculine side, which was amazing. So, and then by the end, it just more and more people are making this incredible progress. But in the video that's up there from the last live, you can hear more about that. And then, like I said, I'll be sharing just with so many people going through it and seeing all this under such a, like almost like it allowed me to see it almost like under a microscope, to see what was happening, to see why the healing was done in this way, and the wisdom behind it. So I'm excited to share that with you guys. So I hope you guys can join me next Saturday, the 27th. Put it on your calendar if you're interested. Like I said, 6 p.m. Pacific. So, but to get back to today's message, and if you want to know about Soul Convergence, you did not miss out. We did finish the last session, but it is starting again February 10th. So I highly recommend, if you feel pulled, and now is the time, I'm telling you, now is the time to heal. That the angels have told us repeatedly that this is a unique time in human history where we have access to every life we've ever lived. We have access to our full Akashic record to heal as deep as we want to go. And, you know, the earth has always been a school, a healing school, but it is, what we know is actually one of the best healing schools because of the density. And that is changing. This last period that we are in is sort of the last great hurrah. How much can we heal? How much can we shift in our own vibration to become the brighter, shinier self that we are? Because that healing we get to take with us forever, right? That's part of ourselves going forward. So now is the time, and this process will benefit you enormously. It did for everybody that joined it. Everyone saw wonderful results. So anyways, I hope you will take a look at it. It's on my webpage, anntucker.com, soul-convergence. So anyways, so about today's message. So last week's message was about, they were talking about this thing that happened to humanity at some point, that there was some impact that some other being, they didn't specify who, right? They didn't talk about who, but in this message they get much more into the detail of who. Well, I will tell you something super interesting. I got an email from one of our subscribers here on YouTube, and they shared with me that just a confirmation of the message that we had just gotten. Luz Bona sent me a message, and she says, after the last two ellipses in October 2023, I was called to unify my consciousness with the universal Christ consciousness of all unity, which, as we know, the angels have been saying, we're trying to move to a state of oneness. Like, this is what we're trying to evolve into, humanity's next stage of being. And they say, but I couldn't, she says. So I had to go dig deeper into her subconscious mind, she says, and then my guides pointed to my amygdala, the amygdala gland, which if you search for it, you will see that the amygdala is the oldest part of our brain. Well, there in meditation, I found they had implanted the separation codes that the angels were talking about. So I wanted to share that because she names where they are. And I thought that was fascinating, that as we're thinking about this and we're trying to heal this energy, in the last message, the angels didn't tell us where to look in the body. They told us what the feelings were like for us to work with, that we can shift this in ourselves through how we work with our own feeling, through our awareness. But it helps, I think, to know where they're located. Where is this? It's so it's just, anyway, so Lou shared that. I wanted to share it with you guys because I thought it was really interesting and helpful to know where it is. So, okay, are you guys ready for this week's message? Let's dig in. Here we go. The angels say, we bring to you an unfound pleasure, a new knowledge of yourselves, and the hereafter resolved upon blessings. Newfound they are becoming. We bring to you an absolution of what you thought was relevant and important in this time frame, an absolution to resolve upon and to bestow yourself with the gift of pleasure, the release of the self and toil, the aftermath of the vibration of hardship, the frequency of holding yourselves asunder from the path of joy, the sensation of yourself as overwrought, under friction, embroiled in conflict, inconsequential undermining of your own glee and joyful reflection. The sense of yourselves to arrive will be one of halves, to bestow upon this life half of what you are and half of what you will become. The sense of yourself is always arriving to a newly settled incarnation, which will be arriving soon. The sense of yourself on the precipice always of evolution, of becoming more of something wonderful. A sense of new horizons always in blossom, ever coming toward yourself. Evolving into hand and heart held open to receive the bounty of the gesture of good living. We speak into this now, the hardship of oppression, of what you have been under, the reflection of yourself, of due and diligent, of hard working, of pains taking, angst, and to repeat to your own awareness that this incarnation of the human mind was born free and felt itself always to be so. The human mind bore the consequential nature of the divine flow forever after. The feeling of itself as expansive, of its own knowledge as the harbinger of truth, to be spoken into the wind, to become something that is felt and experienced. The sense of yourself as in the role of dictation of the circumstances to arrive, and the knowledge that you are holding the power of creation. But these aptitudes of yourselves have fallen by the way of the frequency of suffering and struggle and hardship. These were brought onto the self not by plan or instigation of divine frequency, but on the altar of prostration where you have been settled. In the diminutive, in the less than relationship to the all. To the sensation of yourself as harboring a frequency of suffering, of settling yourselves to the remembrance of having been injured, of having been hurt, of having been wounded. And all of these thoughts of your own feelings of victimization congealed into the settled state of the human mind as one that must purge and protect from and against each other. The sensation of hardship that rises from within was not settled there by divine instrument. It was brought to yourselves, through yourselves, for the purpose of benefiting others, not the heavens, not the self that you are, not the purpose of your incarnation, but brought to forge and form amongst yourselves a vibration of hardship for the purpose of the elongation of another, the celebration of someone not yourself, for the benefit of others. Who, you ask? Who are these imposers of our hardships? Who draws to us this permanent seeming impediment? We say they are none for yourself. They are none of your own frequency. They are not of this life or this light. They do not harbor the godlike tremble of your own incarnation. They are not human. They are not of yourselves. They are not members of this race of your beings. They are personages from far away who voyaged here to become more of what they are amongst yourselves, to grow and forage among this earth what would benefit them. They are remnants, or there are remnants here from beyond that veil which protects yourselves. Now, in the coming months that follow, and the years to beget a symbiotic relation between yourselves and the all that exists far away, you will find yourselves opening to this hardship, torn asunder from the knowledge of yourselves as divine creatures, as oneness with the all, and you will find yourself opening, tearing heart from hardship, removing this curse upon your knowledge, lifting the veil to your own destiny as creators. This comes as no surprise to those who herald the wind and hear your own voice reckoning what is true. But those who fear now what is to change, to those who feel in their hearts a belonging to that suffering, they will anger themselves with this riot of change that comes. They will anger themselves to their own lack and denial. They will find in their hearts a frequency of forging willfully against the fine threads of divine light that weave through them. We wish for you to anchor yourselves without doubt into the power of your own knowing, to anchor yourselves in the truth of your own heart, in the heart that leads you, guides you toward your freedom, to feel in this earth a buoyancy that lifts you, rises within you, and draws you toward the harmony that you feel, that you see, that you want to know. You are differing from what was the feelings of past times of hardship. You are finding now your true north, your passage to a bettering of the condition of the human. So you guys know that, like I said, when I first started this series of messages, like 2 weeks ago, we've had two now on this topic. This is our third. That it was not, it's just, like I said, it was not my usual lane. This is the first time they've talked about this topic. And so I was really, at the beginning, I was like, like, this is weird, but it's weird good, like yes, I believe, of course, I believe that we are not the only ones in the universe. And I believe that there have been other beings here all along and all of that. But it's just, yeah, this idea of the history that we don't know about ourselves and where we came from, it takes like an adjustment. You know what I mean? We have to throw away everything we've been taught. And I'm totally willing to do that. But it also takes a minute. It takes me just a minute. I don't know about you. Some of you have been on this train for a while, and some of you have been emailing me and filling me in on some of the other stuff. And I'm game, you know what I mean? I really am. But I also want to take this, I want to take this one message at a time, and I want to let the angels explain to us as much as they are willing, as much as we can. I don't know. To me, I always like to be, it's part of my own discernment. I like to feel it as true in my body. I like to know, like I said, I like to have my own relationship to that truth. That's what feels best for me. So I will share with you what I get, and we will continue on this journey of discovery together. So, this particular, let's go ahead and break this message down and talk about it, because there is a lot in here. Of course, there always is. They always, as you know, they fit a lot into the message. So they first say, we bring to you an unfound pleasure, And that's kind of what this whole thing is about. This whole message is about that we are meant, and the angels have said always, and this part of the reason I actually really, really love this message is that a lot of things they've always told us about, like the fact that we are meant to be in joy. Okay, then the next question is, well, then why aren't we? Like, why don't we have our joy? Is it our own fault? Why is that? Well, we're starting to get answers to some of those secondary questions. So we bring to you an unfound pleasure. So we are meant to be joyful, but we have not found that, right? It has been unfound pleasure, a new knowledge of yourselves, and the hereafter resolved upon blessings, newfound they are becoming. So I also like here that they say resolved upon. They say that this change, this shift in us, where we become free of this impact, of this influence, is already resolved upon, that it is happening. And they've told us like this shift in consciousness will happen. Like they see the outcome, and they said it's already happened. As a matter of fact, they've said we are already there, that they see the future us, and we are there loving it. that we're just waiting for our world to catch up, right? So that is great news. So they say they are becoming. Next paragraph, they say, we bring to you an absolution of what you thought was relevant and important in this time frame. So it's like the absolving, right? It's like wiping it away, making it go, like letting go of what we thought we had to do, an absolution of what you thought was relevant and important in this time frame. So all the things that we thought, and this is like such a small, like it's a small sentence and it says so much, an absolution of what you thought was relevant and important. So all of the rules, the ways in which we have been taught to live a life, have been formed under the structure of society where we are taught to live within this structure, which has in fact been pulling us, keeping us from unity and from joy. So there's going to be a whole lot of things that we have to question about how we have lived our lives, right? There's all the things we thought were relevant and important that we start to understand are not relevant and important. And they go on to say, an absolution to resolve upon and to bestow yourself with the gift of pleasure. And so just think about that, there is so much what we have thought of as being traditional wisdom about how to get ahead in life, how to succeed in life. And we know just by looking at the results is that most of the ways that we have been taught to succeed, quote unquote, succeed, don't lead to happiness. They lead to separation, right? They lead to us feeling midlife crisis, somewhere in the middle, saying, wow, all the things I thought I really wanted in life, I don't really want, and I'm really unhappy. Like that's what it takes us towards, right? Questioning all of that. So they say an absolution to resolve upon and to bestow yourself with the gift of pleasure. So we are meant to be joyful, right? So, but how do we do that in the current world, in this 3D reality where like, if you don't pay your rent, you're bumming, like you got to pay your taxes. Like, how do you be in joy and then still pay your rent? That's the question we all have. And they say they go on to say the release of the self in toil, the aftermath of the vibration of hardship. The frequency of holding yourselves asunder from the path of joy, the sensation of yourself as overwrought, under friction, embroiled in conflict, in consequential undermining of your own glee and joyful reflection. So it is this idea that life is hard, life is hard and then you die, like that, all those sayings about like the fact that you gotta be overwrought, that you got to be under friction, that this is what life is and has been, and that has been our belief system, and that has been in a lot of cases our truth, because it's been our belief system. They're saying that it's been about toil, right? And they say the toil, the working super, super hard, working in things that we don't love, right? Because when you love something, it doesn't feel like work. When you do work as we think of it, which is when we're doing something we don't actually want to do, when we're working in something, spending all of our days fulfilling someone else's dream, right? That doesn't really support us, doing something that does not bring us joy. That is they say that is the aftermath of the vibration of hardship. So, and the hardship is a vibration, and they're saying that this is something that's been imposed on us, right? So then, okay, so and I know this is a lot. This is, to me, these are amazing messages. And I know some of you are like, yeah, welcome to the party, Anne. And thank you. I accept your welcome. But like I said, this is just who I am. Is like I said, I need to feel my own truth. So this is how I get there. And hopefully some of you are in the same boat as me, and you're taking these messages in and feeling them and feeling for your own resonance. Do these resonate for you? So okay, so then they go on to say, right, this, and I just really like this because I feel like they're really naming where we've been. The sensation of yourself as overwrought, right? How many of you can identify with that? Under friction, where you feel like, where you have anxiety or tension because you feel like there's conflict in your life, right? Embroiled in conflict, right? The consequential undermining of your own glee and joyful reflection. So the things we do that keep us from feeling happy. The sense of yourselves to arrive will be one of halves, as in halves, like two halves. They say, so the first half, they say to bestow upon this life half of what you are. So the half of our incarnation in our life will become half of what we are and half of what you will become. So what they're saying in this paragraph is that our new way of living is as creators. They're saying that this new way of living that we're going to be when we are freed from this vibration of hardship, then we become the full creators we are meant to be. And we are engaged in a dialogue with our reality. They've given us several messages about this, where we are much more active creators in our experience, where literally we can see the creative process happening around us. And so that changes our relationship to the now. We bring all of ourselves, but that's only half of our experience. We have all of ourselves, and then the other half is what is the next moment? Who are we becoming in the very next minute? It's that feeling of the first step you take if you're going to walk off of a cliff, which is kind of how you express the dharmic path, is that moment of just slightly off balance, leaning into the next moment. So it's half of who you are right now and half of who you will become. And I think it's a beautiful description of what the dharmic path is, right? It's living right on the precipice of the now. So they say it'll be half of what you are and half of what you will become. The sense of yourself is always arriving to a newly settled incarnation, which will be arriving soon. A sense of yourself on the precipice, always, of evolution, of becoming more of something wonderful. A sense of new horizons, always in blossom, ever coming toward yourself, evolving into hand and heart held open to receive the bounty of the gesture of good living. So this is what we're meant to be. This is how we are meant to exist on the earth. This is the dharmic path that they're describing, right? And so, yeah, it sounds amazing. It sounds absolutely amazing. And I know that for a lot of us, we think of this as being the human condition, that what we're taught in terms of how to survive, like if you think about being on earth and being in a place where there is danger around you, the more that you know before you get there, the better off you are, right? If you can anticipate that there's going to be, if you're going to walk through the jungle and you know that there's lions in one part of the jungle, well, then you're going to avoid that part. So we think prepare, that preparation, planning ahead, setting our expectations about how things are going to be. That's been the key to survival up until now. That's been the key to success. Plan ahead, save your pennies, work hard now, put money, whatever, all that kind of stuff has been the key to success. But has it been the key to joy? And they're saying all that is changing, that the emphasis, what we thought was important, is no longer important. What's important now is being joyful. Very, very different and hard for us to wrap our heads around, because it's really hard to let go of what we've been taught. We've been taught we are foolish not to live in this method of hardship. We've been taught that if we don't do that, we are, foolish. It's a moral statement about our character if we don't live in this pattern of hardship. So it's very hard to unwind inside of ourselves, I think. Okay, so here we are. Yeah, and I like this part. They say evolving into hand and heart held open. So I think this is a really important part of living in the dharmic path is about being open to receive what comes, about having a hand and heart held open. The hand for the receiving, the heart is it's like living without expectation, living in the ability to perceive. You know how we always say we're supposed to be in awe, in wonder with the now. Like people talk about that a lot. And I think that is this idea that we come into the now without expectation. We come in with the ability to perceive things we've never perceived before. And you can only see things you've never seen if you don't have expectations about the now, if you're willing to really take in what's there. So this is an open hand to receive the beautiful whatever's coming, and open heart to it's like out of head into heart, letting the heart lead, guided by our feelings, by our joy. Yeah. Next paragraph, they say, we speak into this now, the hardship of oppression. So then I'm going to talk about, why don't we have this now? How did we get off the dharmic path? They say, of what you have been under. We've been under oppression. To the reflection of yourself, of due, and I like this part, the reflection of yourself as due and diligent, of hard working, of pains taking, angst. And I love how they did this. It's very poetic. You know how they are. They like to play with words because they are angels and that's what they do. But I like that they have double meanings in all of these. So it is of yourself as due and diligent. So we are due. In other words, like we have debt to pay. We are due. We come to this world as on the karmic path. We are due. But that even in your life, think of all the ways that you are due, that you owe, right? That you come in feeling like it's that whole concept of you got to pay you got to pay the bills, right? We are due and we are diligent. So we have to be like, we have to keep showing up, keep working, right? Keep swinging that axe, right? So this is due and diligent. Well, then put those two together and you have due diligence. So we have to do our due diligence. So in other words, we can't just be free and live in the moment. We got to plan and we got to research and we got to do our due diligence. And if we don't, then we are foolish, right? So they're playing with words here. The next one, of hard working. So they're saying that we are hardworking, but they're also saying that work is hard, which it's not meant to be. And I will tell you that since I have been on my path, like I deliberately create my life. And that is a huge part of my constant effort, is to constantly recreate my life in a way that is joyful. So I will do something I feel I'm guided always. And this wasn't always the case. This is literally like last 5 years of my life. Before that, I was not that. In the last 5 years, I've gotten into a space where I've been able to create from my heart. And I constantly think about, okay, this year, what's going to bring me joy? What are the things I did last year that I loved at the time, but that I feel complete with and that I want to stop doing? And where am I called? What's going to be fun? What do I want to explore? How do I want to learn this year? And that's what I do. And it doesn't feel like work. It feels like joy. And yes, I earn my living by doing this, but it doesn't feel hard. It's not hard work, right? I'm not working hard, even though I work a lot. I do. I actually work a ton, but it feels joyful. So yeah, so hard work. Work does not have to be hard. Work can be joyful. And the next one, of painstaking, angst. So in other words, painstaking means like where you take great pains to be precise, to be perfect, right? And then it also means that we are taking pain. So in which we have been, and taking it, which means that we have available to us something else, but we are taking pain. What we have available to us is joy, but we take right now is pain instead. So yeah, beautiful passage right there. I love how they did that. Just like their divine intelligence just always blows my mind. How cool they are, how cool they express themselves. Just always, I find it to be kind of thrilling. I really do. So okay, they go on to say, and repeat to your own awareness that the incarnation of the human mind, and so here they are, they say they are repeating to us right now, say, okay, this is all things that we are, but no, right now, we're going to tell you again, they say, to your awareness that the incarnation of the human mind was born free and felt itself always to be so. So this is how we're meant to be, free, right? The human mind bore the consequential nature of the divine flow forever after. So that is the dharmic path, to be in flow. We aren't meant to have a karmic existence. And they've been saying that, but they've never gone into it so deeply before. I've never really understood. I thought karma was like something that was created because we were meant to have this earth school. Like I thought it was like part of the plan, but they're saying, no, it wasn't. That it's something that they said, okay, well, it's here, we're going to use it. But no, it wasn't part of the plan originally. All right, they go on to say the feeling of itself, so the human mind, the feeling of itself as expansive. So we were always meant to feel expansive of its own knowledge. So we were meant to feel like our own knowledge was the harbinger of truth, to be spoken into the wind, to become something that is felt and experienced. In other words, we would create our own truth, that we are the harbinger of truth. So we create truth because we create our experience. So we want something to be true, we speak it into existence. This is what it is to be on earth and to be a divine creator. If we want it to be, I don't know, sunny, we breathe sunny into the wind and we create a little pocket of sunshine. Like I think that's possible. I do. I don't know what happens if there's a bunch of us and we're like, well, I wanted rain. And then we're like the fairy godmothers and Cinderella, and we're like sending, anyway, I digress. But okay, so we move on here, and they say the human mind, right? So we felt that we were meant to be divine creators, and we would create our reality, and we knew that. And we would create the truth of our experience. The sense of yourself as the role of dictation of the circumstances to arrive, and the knowledge that you are holding the power of creation. So we could dictate our circumstances and be the creator. So this is how we were meant to be. This is how we were created. But they say, these aptitudes of yourselves have fallen by the way of the frequency of suffering and struggle and hardship. So we no longer have those abilities because we now have the frequency of suffering and struggle and hardship. So where did we get that? They say these were brought onto the self not by plan or instigation of divine frequency. So this was not part of the divine. This was not the will of source or God, right? But on the altar of prostration where you have been settled. So prostration is like when you're laying down, like in a period, like in a position of like worship, where in other words, we were made subjugated to someone else, right? So then that, of course, you say like who, and they answer it here. On the altar of prostration where you have been settled. So in other words, we didn't do it to ourselves. Someone put us there. They say in the diminutive, which is like to be made small, right? Small and tiny, to be in the diminutive, to in the less than relationship to the all. So, yeah, so, and then they go on to say, to the sensation of yourself as harboring a frequency of suffering, of settling yourselves to the remembrance of having been injured. And I think this part we really need to pay close attention to, because this, I think, is how it settles into our consciousness. And this is where we can act on it, is that we think of ourselves as suffering, and we have an idea of ourselves as having been injured. And then this is, I think, where it takes root. Is it, and this thing I shared in the beginning about it being in the amygdala, that's such a hard word to say, the amygdala of the brain. It's like that ancient part like of the brain. But it's that feeling of being a victim. And that it is durable in humanity, that we all have our trauma, that we've all been wounded, that we've all been hurt. And the goal is for us to take that awareness of ourselves, that feeling about ourselves, that things have happened to us, and we have to turn it around and recognize I am the creator, and that I create my reality. And then we have to weave our way back out of that pit that we are in, the pit of suffering. We have to climb our way out. And the way we do it is by looking at all the beliefs we have about having been wounded, and we have to heal each one. We got to heal them. we got to accept ourselves as divine. We got to say, I have the power, I have the ability to see all these things that I believe were done to me. And we can say they were done for me. They were done as gifts to help me see that I carry these woundings. And then we can move from them. We have the ability to heal and move forward, right? And to become that divine creator. Every little bit we accept. And when we keep saying like self-love, be more of yourself. That's what they're talking about here. Yeah. So, so it is the frequency. Yeah, you are harboring a frequency of suffering, of setting yourself to the remembrance of having been injured, of having been hurt, of having been wounded. And all of these thoughts of your own feelings of victimization congealed into the settled state of the human mind as one that must purge and protect from and against each other. So in other words, we were given this feeling that we are victims. And so we take that feeling and it erupts in all different ways in our life, right? And we become wounded and we become hurt. And then those feelings congeal in the human collective consciousness, and it settles into the human mind in the belief that we have to protect ourselves from each other. And so that leads to war and violence and all the things that we fight each other, right? So this is how it happened, which is, it's so sad. It really is. It's so sad. So, but the thing that I think that is actionable here is to recognize that it is through the path of where we believe we are wounded. That if we can come back to those wounds and release the feeling of having been wounded, the feeling that things happen to us, the sense of being the victim, if we can release that, and that is not an easy task. I know that. And that is why, like, there's no accident that the angels are bringing soul convergence, this healing program to us right now. It's because that is exactly what it's meant to do. It is meant to help you release the deepest traumas. It's starting February 10th. Come join us. Come and do this work, right? Because it will help. It will help with this process enormously. Yeah, that we have these ideas, these feelings of having been wounded, of having been the victim, and that congeals in the collective, right? And pits us against one another because we feel we have to purge and protect. We want to purge other people from our field and we want to protect against them, right? So it's separation. It puts us into this state of separation from each other. So they go on to say the sensation of hardship that rises from within was not settled there by divine instruments. This was not the intention of the divine. It was brought to yourselves through yourselves. So in other words, it was put inside of us, and then we create from that place. So we're creating this reality from this wound that was put upon us, right? So the chaos in the world, it comes from us, but it stems from this wound that was put on us, right? To yourselves, through yourselves, for the purpose of benefiting others. So who are these others? They say they are not the heavens, not the self that you are. So it's not for you, or not. It wasn't you that did it. It wasn't the heavens that did it. It says not the purpose. It was not the purpose of your incarnation. Where is it? Not the self that you are, not the purpose of your incarnation. It doesn't benefit your purpose, right? This is counter purpose to why you're here. They say, but brought to forge and form amongst yourselves a vibration of hardship for the purpose of the elongation of another. So that thinking, that's stretching, talling. So they said, we were made diminutive and they are elongated. So think about that in terms of relationship of power, to empower someone else, right? The celebration of someone, not yourself, for the benefit of others. So someone, and they're going to talk about who did this, who was not human, did it in order to benefit themselves. Yeah. You ask us, who are these imposers of our hardship? Who draws to us this permanent seeming impediment? We say they are none for yourself. So in other words, none of them are, they were not part of us in any way. They say they are none of your own frequency. They are not of this life or of this light. In other words, they're not from earth. They're not of this light, the light of earth. They're not from here. Right? They do not harbor the godlike tremble of your own incarnation. So in other words, they're not incarnated. They are beings, but they're not the same kind of being that we are. So we are one incarnation of source, and they are a different one. So they are not human. They say very plainly here, they are not human. They are not of yourselves. They're not members of this race of your being. So I think they say it like in 15 different ways there to make sure we get the message, right? They go on to say they are personages from far away who voyage here to become more of what they are amongst yourselves. So they are on a journey for their own growth. And they thought by coming here, they could benefit themselves. They could do things that were in their own self-interest. So if you think about this, it is not hard to imagine, because think about our relationship to animals and how we are taught in many of our religious texts that the animals are here for our betterment, right? That they are here so that we can be happier, that we can have what we need. And so that's how they saw us, I think. So it's not hard to stretch our minds to see how this could happen. It doesn't make them bad. It makes them self-interested, right? That they were self-interested in the same way that we are self-interested. So yeah, they go on to say, to grow and forage among this earth, what would benefit them? There are remnants here from beyond that veil which protects yourself. So they're saying there are remnants here. So that influence is not gone, they're saying. So that is interesting, because I don't know, like I know there's a lot of different alien races, and lots of people have connections to the different alien races, and but they're saying that of this group that came and did this, that they still have remnants here. So it may be that they are integrated into our population in different ways, but they are here still in some way. There are remnants. There's not all of them, but remnants, which is very interesting, from beyond that veil which protects yourselves. All right, so they go on to say, in other words, they're saying this couldn't happen again right now because we're protected, but it did happen at one time. Yeah. Going on, they say, now in the coming months that follow and years to beget a symbiotic relation between yourselves and the all that exists far away. That's a mouthful. We'll go back to that. You will find yourselves opening to this hardship. So they're saying, in other words, we are going to open to this hardship, we're going to have more understanding, which I believe is what this whole shift in consciousness is about. Like, that is what I'm coming to wrap my head around, is that the shift in consciousness is freeing ourselves from this influence, that was never supposed to be there in the first place. Yeah. So which is like, like, wow. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's it. So, so they're saying that in the coming months, and they said that in the last message, that in the year to come, we will be working on opening up, like in these ways. I think this flash of light, the first flash of light, may come in the coming year. It may be that is what, because they said there is something. They said the energy is heavy in the spring, so it may, but heavy is not a bad thing in their. It's like it's just energetic. There's a lot of energy in the spring. So it could be that that is when this first flash of light comes, and that first flash of light, they said, is the moment that we will all look back on to say that that's when everything changed. So I believe that this, and they said there will be 3 of these flashes of light, each one becoming more intense. And so I think this point of this is probably to dislodge this belief system, this influence on the human collective. So, yeah, they said, so in other words, so, okay, so they say now in the coming months that follow, so we were going to be opening to this hardship in the coming months that follow. And they say, and also they say, and years to beget a symbiotic relation between yourselves and the all that exists far away. So in other words, we are going to be working on figuring this out about ourselves in the coming months, but then also in the coming years, we're going to be working on this in order to have a symbiotic relationship, a positive, equal relationship, right? Symbiotic, equal, both are helped between yourselves and the all that exist. And they said that in order to become galactic, like last week's message, in order to become citizens of the galaxy, we have to heal ourselves and we have to become peaceful. We have to heal ourselves of our warring nature. Right. And so that is what they're talking about here, that this is this is hardship is sort of the root of it. So, yeah. Going on, they say, torn asunder from the knowledge of yourselves as divine creatures. This is what we've been torn away from the knowledge of ourselves as divine creatures, as oneness with the all. And they say, you will find yourselves opening, tearing heart from hardship. So tearing the hardship right out of our hearts is what they're saying. Removing this curse upon your knowledge, lifting the veil to your own destiny as creators. So this is what's happening for us in this shift of consciousness. So I just feel like they are helping us in this beautiful, loving, very gradual way, layer upon layer. They're giving us more and more information about what this is, what's happening. Yeah. And I like it that I prefer, for me, like this works. I want to know in depth. I want to feel each piece of this. I want to understand it, right? And I feel like that's important because they have told us that part of our role here is to be the witness, to see what it is, to go through this shift in consciousness while incarnated. So by going slow, they're letting us know, like helping us to absorb this, to understand the roots of it, what's underneath. Yeah. They go on to say, this comes as no surprise to those who herald the wind and hear your own voice, reckoning what is true. So for those of you who are connected, who have a sense of this already, who are listening to the angels, right, who are connected to yourselves as divine creators, that you feel reckoning what is true, that is that idea that you're connected to your heart, that you feel your way, you feel truth, right? You're connected to your own discernment, right? For those of you who are there, they said this might come as no surprise, but they say, but those who fear now what is change, to those who feel in their hearts a belonging to that suffering. So those people who are really afraid to give up all those rules we've been taught, all the ways we've been taught that we are meant to do well in life, right? The rules for a successful life, those people who are really afraid to let those go, right? They say they will anger themselves with this riot of change that comes. They will anger themselves with their own lack and denial. So they will, rather than turning into it and receiving the light, instead they will be, and they said this is the one way that people can close themselves off from this beautiful wave of light that's coming. It's by clinging on to the way things were. The more that we cling on to what was, it's like we shut ourselves down, and that prevents us from receiving the light. So this flash of light that's coming to shift us, to help us shift in our consciousness. They go on to say they will find, so these people who are turning away from the light, who were trying to cling on to the way things were, they say they will find in their hearts a frequency of forging willfully against the fine threads of divine light that weave through them. So forging, think of that as like, it's almost like putting up a metal barrier, like saying, no, I don't want it, right? Against the fine, I love that, the fine threads of divine light that weave through them. All right. They go on to say, and if you want to know more about the flashes of light, just look back in the playlist. It is there. So just go back. They started talking about those maybe a couple months ago. They were talking about those quite a bit. So just look back and you can see it in the titles. They're talking about these beautiful flashes of light that are coming. They go on to say, we wish, I might have called it a wave of light, but it's there anyways. We wish for you to anchor yourselves without doubt. So here they're speaking to you. We wish for you to anchor yourselves without doubt into the power of your own knowing, to anchor yourselves in the truth of your own heart, in the heart that leads you, guides you toward your freedom, to feel in this earth a buoyancy that lifts you, rises within you, and draws you toward the harmony that you feel, that you see, that you want to know. So this is how we can experience these flashes of light, these energies that are coming to the planet. They want us to anchor ourselves without doubt into the power of our own knowing. So that is that idea of being heart-centered, being listening to your own heart. It is feeling our way through our experience. And it's trying to get out of our head, which is really focused on the planning and the control. And if the head leads, you are all about control. And we cannot be that way going forward. The head is still valid. The head is important. The head is like, we are meant to be a balanced being, but the heart has to lead. Feminine energy, which is your heart space, needs to be the chooser, needs to lead. And the masculine energy that we have supports, lifts up the feminine. And that's how the two energies work together. And if we have head first, we're stuck in this rigidity of control and trying to contract, to control, to hold tighter, to grip tighter, when we're supposed to let go and flow and be on the precipice of the wave and see what comes with an open heart, open hand to receive. And we are creating in this constant dialogue of evolution. That's the dharmic path. That's what we're headed toward. That's what's available. It's so much better. Like, why would we want that other stuff? That other stuff stinks. Like, yes, it's in the old way. Like, it was great. Like, when we had to live that way, it was great to have those good habits and to work hard and do all that stuff was super. But what if you don't have to? Like, and I'm not saying that we don't still have to work hard, because I tell you, like, I work very, very, very hard. It just doesn't feel like work anymore because I'm happy. And that's what I'm talking about. We still use our head. We still use our bodies. We still take action. We still do things in the world, because otherwise, what's the point of life? We have to experience. We have to engage. But the point is to do it at things that bring us joy. Yeah. And yeah, so we wish for you to anchor yourselves without doubt into the power of your own knowing, which is your heart. That to anchor yourselves in the truth of your own heart, there they say it, in the heart that leads you, guides you toward this freedom, to feel in this earth a buoyancy that lifts you. So I love this. So the earth itself is going, the whole reason for this shift right now is the earth itself is going through its own shift in consciousness, and humanity has to go with it. We are the neurons in these physical bodies. We are the neurons of the earth. We are like her thoughts, her thought forms. So we have to change too. The human consciousness has to shift as part of this, so that she will lift the buoyancy. And think about that in two ways. Like, not only is her energy shifting, but as these lights come to the planet, they move into the planet. So imagine the earth filling up with these high frequencies, and that frequency is going to radiate up and out of the earth and lift us. Right? So they say it's a buoyancy that lifts you, rises within you, because we are of the earth, right? And draws you toward the memory that you feel, that you see, that you want to know. So, and they love that they say the memory. No, they didn't say memory. They said harmony, but they could have said memory. That's just me. But I'm going to add that to the memory, because we were this at one time, right? But they say toward the harmony that you feel, that you see, that you want to know. Right? The harmony is our union with ourselves and each other. It's like getting away from war. Going on, they say, you are differing from what was the feelings of past times of hardship. So that I like that they're saying that we are differing from that. So this is a process that we are that is underway, that we are already undergoing. We are differing, right? We are already doing it. You are finding now your true north, your passage to a bettering of the condition of the human. So, yeah. I am loving these messages, you guys. I am loving this. I feel like I am expanding and learning. Like, and I know this information has been out there, but I haven't received it. And so, and I feel like I'm receiving it in a new way, in a way that is from the angels, in a way that explains it to me. It just feels, it feels really connected to, it feels true to me. And I think for whatever reason, it didn't resonate for me before. Like I would listen and I'd be like, yeah, that's a thing. And I know that, but it's not important for me right now. And so I just kind of tuned it out because I knew that it wasn't important for me at that time. But clearly it's important now. And I feel this and it's exciting. And I feel like all this time has been like, I feel like the last 2 years, it's been a gradual building masterclass in what is happening to us. What is it to be here right now? Week after week, they give us a new chapter, giving us more in depth, a deeper understanding of what this really is and who are we, and how can we navigate this and how can we as light workers play the role we're meant to play. So you guys, thank you so much for sharing the messages with me. I really appreciate that we are all carrying these together and bringing these into our lives and acting on these messages. Like I feel like it is important. I feel like it's really important and I appreciate you. So thank you so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Like I said, I'm recording this on Monday and I'm going to post it for you on Friday because I will be in Bali. So I'll be thinking of you and I will probably come on live and do a little quick post from Bali just to say hi and to bring you guys with me on my vacation. So, all right, have a great weekend, you guys. Sending you lots of love and I'll see you next time. Bye.